Hello, welcome to a special video. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what my forecasting routine is like, what I tend to look at when I open up my computer and I want to check current weather conditions. I want to check what's going on with the atmosphere in order to be able to make a accurate forecast. So it's really important to not just dive in straight to the computer model guidance and really try to get a sense for the atmosphere, what it's doing right now, because what it's doing right now will facilitate and lead to what will happen in the future. So the first thing I'll do when I open my computer here is I'll look at the 500 millibar heights aloft. Now this is, to put it simply, it's generally where the colder air columns are located and where the warmer air columns are located. And in between those, when you have this really tight packing of black lines here, of the height lines, lines of constant pressure at a certain altitude, which in this case is the 500 millibar. Well, they're lines of certain of constant pressure in the atmosphere. And so 500 millibars, it's on average, it's around 18,000 feet, but it can be higher or lower depending on the temperature of the overall air mass. So you see these tightly packed height lines where you have this very tight packing, and you notice the stronger winds too. The triangles on the winds here indicate 50 knots or greater. If you get a triangle, you have at least 50 knots. And the stronger winds where that tight gradient is in between the cold and warm air masses, that's the jet stream. That's the jet stream right there. And that is this river of fast-moving air aloft that's basically separating the colder air masses and the warmer air masses. We see this dip in the jet stream over the west coast currently, and that's associated with a little weather system that just came through yesterday. Came through all the way down into Southern California, mostly light showers. It's an early April system, late March, early April. After all, we don't tend to get a lot of beneficial rain anymore. I mean, we'll get beneficial rain, but it's just not very much of it by the time we get to this time of year. And unfortunately, we had a historically hot March with we had a big ridge of high pressure in place for most of the month, and we've got a little bit of troughing right now, but it's really not doing much, unfortunately. I can go back here. I don't know how far this will let me go back, but yeah. Okay, see, go back to the 20th, we had several records broken for March, highest temperature in March across many areas of the West here, and you can see that big ridge was in control. And you had the jet stream way up into Canada, and then kind of dipping down into the east coast of the United States. But look at that massive, huge ridge of high pressure. This is a 594 decameter high. This would be strong in June or September. So for March, this is almost unheard of. This is absurd. This broke records for heights and temperatures in many areas. Anyhow, you saw that pattern towards the last week of March. We saw that finally start to break down. We got some more troughing out in the Pacific Northwest. The ridge started to flatten a bit more, and we were able to get this little system in here. For looking at the satellite, that's what I usually do next, and I will just kind of go back and forth, kind of take a look at what's transpired, and you can see there are all those clouds associated with that weather system that came through that I was just talking about. So you see how everything kind of pieces together, and you kind of get to see all the pieces to the puzzle. Here's the next little weather system. See, we had one that went through yesterday, one trough yesterday, And there's another one that's coming in that's clipping Northern California today. You can see it on the satellite, and you can also see it over here. See this patch of blue here is little trough. You can see that's what came through yesterday, and then this is what's coming today. It's a little stronger, but it's a little further east. There's not a lot of moisture with it. Maybe we'll get some more rain showers today, but unfortunately it's not a kind of system that's going to bring us a lot of moisture because of the track it's taking. It's more of an inland track, you can see. So yeah, I'll expect some showers with that as well. And I'll put the overlay here for radar. This is where it's raining currently. You can see quite a bit of rain overnight, last evening into overnight. Parts of Central California, Southern California, and that pushed even into parts of the desert Southwest as well. Now we're seeing some rain showers moving into Northern California with this next system here. I'll also tend to look at the sounding. This is very technical for people that aren't into meteorology, but this basically gives you a vertical slice of the atmosphere at a certain location. This one is for Oakland as of this morning, 5 a.m. local, and you can see a completely saturated lower level of the atmosphere, the dew point in green, the temperature in red. When those are together, when those are touching, that's a saturated atmosphere. It was likely raining at this time from the 700 millibar level, which is roughly 10,000 feet down to the surface. We had a saturated atmosphere. And then you actually had some drier air around the mid-levels, around 14,000 feet more or less. And you had a little bit of a moist patch here, some high clouds likely causing that. And then you have the wind profile, pretty unidirectional. Not a lot of directional wind shear. Just kind of that westerly flow through most of the atmosphere. You're not going to get really powerful rotating storms if you don't have a significant amount of shear. We do get some rotating storms in California occasionally in the winter season, nothing like we see in the Midwest, but we do occasionally get those, but definitely not seeing that with this system. Pretty unidirectional flow. I'm not seeing any significant directional shear here. If you follow the trajectory an air parcel would take, it's already plotted out here on this one. You see it stays warmer than its environment for a while, which would mean positive buoyancy. But then it gets colder than its environment, and it's not gonna stay very positive. It's not gonna stay positively buoyant for long with this pattern. It's possible that inversion breaks a little bit in the afternoon, and we get a little more positive buoyancy. But we're not seeing a lot of CAPE, what we call convective available potential energy. If we saw a large area where the parcel was positively buoyant, we would say we would determine that's a lot of CAPE with that. But that's not very much that we're seeing today. So I wouldn't expect any, maybe a scanner. It depends on what happens in the afternoon, like maybe a scattered little, I don't even know if I would really call it a thunderstorm or not. We're not going to see any major thunderstorms with this kind of pattern is what I'm getting at. So there's a sounding, something else I tend to look at. Station plots as well. I want to know the station observations. I want to know live data, what the wind is doing, what the temperatures are doing. And we're seeing mostly a south flow for most of the stations in the Bay Area here. That kind of checks out with what we were looking at, the upper pattern aloft and the satellite, but particularly the pattern aloft. And you can obviously see that on the satellite as well. So winds ahead of the low pressure system up here, ahead of this front, you're going to typically have winds out of the south. Warm air advection, warm conveyor belt ahead of the front. That checks out with what we're seeing with the observations at the surface. So this is all giving us a good sense of what's happening with the atmosphere. Um, and then the next thing I tend to look at is cameras. So let's look at the last 12 hours at this Mount Tam camera. I mean, today there's not much to see with that. See the last hour, in and out of clouds, light rain showers. This is at the top of the mountain, so kind of what you'd expect to see. And then at the very last, after I've gotten a good sense of what's happening with the current atmosphere, I'm going to go ahead and look at model guidance. Let's take a look at the high resolution model for rainfall today. Since we are having a little bit of a wet, showery day. And you see some light showers showing up throughout the morning, and then we go through the afternoon hours. Possibility of getting a little more rain, some pockets of showers, nothing really significant, but we'll take it. Anything we can get this time of year, really. I just put clouds and precipitation type. So you can see there's some snow in the Sierra. You can see a lot of clouds associated with these showers as they move through. And then we go into tomorrow morning and we get widespread clearing, drying out pretty significantly behind the front. Maybe some little pockets of showers, post-frontal showers left behind, but really drying out quite nicely as we go into tomorrow. Take a look at temperatures, projected temperatures, that is. For today, Bay Area seeing still most areas stuck in the 50s, maybe some low 60s out towards Sacramento. And then overnight, as we go into tomorrow morning, maybe some 40s for some places, the coldest inland valleys. And then warming up, maybe about 60 tomorrow. Still pretty chilly. I mean, pretty average for this time of year, but chilly compared to where we have been most of March. And then, yeah, back into the 40s again for Friday morning. Long range model guidance. You're looking at that trough, that second system moving through today into tomorrow. Cooler air, and then it starts warming up real quickly again. You see this trough ejects. There goes that cold pool of air. And then here's warming, right? Here's building heights aloft. There's warming air. There's warm air advection. Warming and drying again. And this model seems to want that on this projection. And then as we go into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe another light little system. Take it with a grain of salt. We'll have to see what happens, but could get it. Maybe a little bit, maybe some more showers there. We'll see. And then, this is just when we go out over a week on a deterministic computer model, you really got to take it with a grain of salt. Because it is just one deterministic model looking way out. But anyways, there was a little bit of my forecasting routine, what I go through every day. And then as I show that, I'm also able to give you a bit of an idea of what's going on and what may happen over the next week. So, that's all I have for today. I hope you were able to get something out of this. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was enjoyable. Let me know in the comments if you like this, or if I should do any similar videos, anything that might be helpful in terms of advice. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time.